Peace, family. It's your brother, Marc Lamont Hill. Welcome to Night School. Every night here on the Marc Lamont Hill official YouTube channel, we hold Night School, where I break down the most complicated topics, the most controversial issues, the most pressing debates in our world today. And we don't do it with a drive-by analysis. We don't do it with superficial cable news talking points. We have intellectual deep dives. It's not a cable news show. It's not a podcast even. It's a global classroom, and that's what we're doing tonight, as we do every night. I want to remind you that tonight we'll also be having the War on Gaza report soon after the Night School, and we'll also be doing a live question and answer session. So please know that Night School won't be the longest session we've ever had tonight, but it will be supplemented by two other things. But I want to make sure that we get to some important stories that are going on in the world today. Let's start with third party politics. I'm excited to talk about what's going on. And Jill Stein is back in the news. You might say, why is Jill Stein in the news? That's a good question. The reason is because AOC, one of the leading voices of the squad, one of the leading voices of the liberal wing of the Democratic Party, the liberal wing of the Working Families Party, a superstar, to be sure, political rock star, especially after her time at the Democratic Convention, where she gave probably the most conciliatory, the most middle of the road, the most liberal leaning speech she's ever given. She's always sort of prided herself of being DSA, being Working Families, sort of leaning harder to the left. But with this speech, it seemed like she was priming herself to be a mainstream darling, to be someone who would carry the water with the mainstream centrist Democrats. I was a little surprised, but I love AOC in lots of ways, but this speech was shocking to me. And then on the heels of that success, we saw AOC go on Instagram. She likes to go on Instagram from time to time, and I always appreciate her Instagram lives, her sessions. And on this particular Instagram live, AOC did something interesting. She started talking about third party politics. She criticized the Green Party. She criticized Jill Stein in particular. And she said, and I'll paraphrase, I'll let you hear a little bit of it, but she said that they were basically predatory. She basically said, if you only come around every 4 years and don't do nothing else, you don't build local elections, you don't build your base, you don't build power, you are predatory. She said you're predatory. People, again, if your goal as a Democrat is to win mainstream approval, attacking third party groups will do that. I mean, again, I have critiques of the third party. I'm a Green Party member and have critiques of my own party. But calling Jill Stein in the Green Party predatory was a provocative move, let's just say. And to my surprise, and I mean my genuine surprise, Jill Stein decided to clap back. She responded to AOC and offered her take on it all. And since we covered AOC before, we're gonna have to cover Jill Stein now. I'm gonna play you just a tiny clip of what AOC said, just as a reminder, and then we'll get right to Jill. Check this out.
You're just showing up once every 4 years to do that. You're not serious. You're not to me, it does not read as authentic. It reads as predatory.
Jill here. I'm about to board, but very quickly, I just wanted to thank AOC Pelosi so very much for her very authentic concern about growing green power. Clearly, AOC is the attack dog du jour, and the Democrats are running scared, and they should be, because who wants to support a genocide? Who wants to vote for a genocide? And if there's anything that's predatory here, it's saying that your candidate is working tirelessly for a ceasefire when actually they are actively funding and arming genocide, and actually refusing to even consider an arms embargo, which would bring the genocide to a screeching halt. AOC, who's supposed to be in leadership of the Democratic Party, it's amazing if she doesn't know about the anti-democratic tactics and strategies that the Democratic Party uses to crush and silence political opposition. They've been hiring an army of lawyers to throw competitors like me off the ballot. They've been hiring infiltrators and saboteurs and publicly posting job advertisements for those positions. They've been hijacking our public funding in order to keep us off the ballot. And they actually impersonated the Greens to throw us off the ballot in 22 in the Senate race for North Carolina, for example. How is that not fraud and election interference? Also,
Whew. That is, it's a lot. That is a lot. So the first thing I want to say is two things can be true at the same time. AOC can have a legitimate principled critique or an unprincipled critique, right? Depending on how you see it. But somebody said, girl about to miss the plane. That's how you know it's bad, when you would have really just dragged somebody. You like, look, I'll miss this flight to do this. I think two things are true at the same time. First thing, AOC said that she had a critique of the Green Party, effectively saying that we only come around every 4 years. We're not building local coalitions. We're not running in local races. We're not doing any of these things. I understand that critique. I have had the frustration, not just with the Green Party, but with third parties in general. Some of the radical third parties in the United States is that sometimes it feels like the on-the-ground work is not as effective in terms of movement building and party building as it could be. So I understand the frustration. I don't think, though, that it's fair to say that it's predatory. I don't think that the Green Party is out here trying to exploit or prey on people. I don't think that Jill Stein is out here just running for president to run. She said she keeps running year after year. In fact, Jill hasn't run year after year. Y'all are missing a couple of presidential runs, including 2020, where Jill didn't run at all. So we also have to be honest about the analysis here. So I think there's a place to say, look, Green Party could do a better job winning mayoral seats, winning city council seats, winning legislature seats, winning over the people, not just when there's a presidential election on the table. I agree with that 100%. I agree with that 100%. But it's not predatory, and it's not happening, right? That a lot of the work that the Green Party does and other parties do, you don't see. You only see the big picture on TV. You only see the big election on social media. You don't see the actual labor that's being done day after day, year after year, just to get the Green Party on balance, just to fight. And so when Jill Stein claps back, she comes back. Look, she came for her head, as she should have, right? You got to be thorough if you're gonna come, right? If you come for the king, you best not miss, as the great philosopher once said. So she started off by calling her, AOC Pelosi. That already is like an uppercut, right? Like calling anybody Nancy Pelosi is not a compliment in where we come from, in our parts. That's number one. Number two, she frames AOC as an attack dog. Do I think AOC is an actual attack dog for the Democratic Party? Do I think she's being put out there to attack the Green Party? No. I think sometimes we kind of have a conspiracy theory in our brains that is far more thorough and cohesive than it actually is in real life. I think what's happening is, I think AOC is being honest. I just think she's wrong. I don't think that anybody put her up to it, but at the same time, I think she is a clearly savvy political operative who understands that coming after the third party only makes her look more acceptable. And as somebody who came in on the wings of the Democratic Socialists of America, somebody who came in on the heels of the Working Families Party, AOC is looking to move to the mainstream. And what better way to look and move to the mainstream than to attack the real left? Not the Democratic Party left, but the real left. So she points that out. And where she really got it right, is she pointed out, I'm talking about Jill Stein. Jill Stein pointed out the fact that AOC carried the water for Joe Biden on Palestine, on Gaza, saying that the president is doing everything in his power, working day and night to bring a ceasefire. AOC, I love you, but that ain't true. That ain't true. It's just not. I don't care if you're in the White House. I don't care if you're in the State Department. I don't care if you're in the House, the Senate. I don't care where you are. There is no vantage point that makes that it a legitimate claim that Joe Biden is working night and day to bring a ceasefire. If you were working night and you know what, you're working too hard, Joe Biden. You ain't got to work night and day. Just have an arms embargo. This should be over. Just stop sending money. This should be over. There's a very easy way to shut this thing down. So when you say he's doing everything in his power, he's working day and night, what's he doing? You know, or look, maybe you do have to work day and night. Maybe you can't sleep if you're trying to figure out a way to stop a war or stop a genocide, excuse me. He's trying to stop a genocide while still sending money and weapons and giving political cover. Yeah, that is a hard square to circle, right? So maybe that's why he's up so much. Anyway, shout out to Jill Stein for having a courageous and coherent clapback. Again, there's room for Green Party critique. There's significant room for Green Party critique and other third parties. But let's not pretend that standing up in front of America at the DNC and saying that Joe Biden is doing his best on Gaza is not an act of capitulation to the liberal wing of the Democratic Party, that it's not a form of, I won't say selling out, but certainly it ain't honest and it ain't principled. So, you know, good job, Jill Stein. We're gonna keep covering it, but I thought y'all get a kick out of that. I got a kick out of watching Jill Stein stand in the airport. You know she's flying coach too, so she got to really fight in that line to get her baggage somewhere. She ain't flying first class. You don't fly first class from Green Party, right? So, like, it was a real sacrifice. You know, she's like, you know, she ain't like Section A. You know what I mean? You know what I'm saying? They call it like round. What they call them? You know, you go like 1, 2. She's playing number 10. You know what I mean? She's probably got one baggage claim slot, and she used it to come with a weak and the centrists and the liberals and the capitulators and the genocide promoters. So shout out to you, Jill Stein. I hope you made your flight. All right, y'all, we're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back. We're going to talk a lot more about American politics tonight and specifically what's going on in this presidential race. But we're going to tell the truth about it. Stay right here. All right, family, welcome back to Night School. We got a legend in the building. Do y'all see Jacques Morel in the building? I don't know if y'all know Jacques Morel. How could you not know Jacques Morel? You see him on TikTok, you see him on Instagram, you see him on TV, you see him everywhere. Other than being a long-suffering New York sports fan, which is a terrible choice to make in life, he's a pretty extraordinary human being. If you don't follow him on social media, you absolutely should. Make sure you check him out. Let's talk about Mike Pence for a minute, yo. Again, this is the year where people are coming out in droves to make themselves seen in their true light. What am I talking about? I'm talking about now Mike Pence, former Vice President Mike Pence. Y'all know him. He's the one who 4 years ago looked at y'all, America, with a straight face and told you that Donald J. Trump was the best person to lead this country. And now, 4 years later, the former governor, the former vice president, Trump running mate, is saying he can't even endorse Donald Trump for president. I want y'all to watch for yourself so you don't think I'm being dramatic or hyperbolic. Listen to what this man said.
Come as no surprise that I will not be endorsing Donald Trump this year. Look, I'm incredibly proud of the record of our administration. It was a conservative record that made America more prosperous, more secure, and saw conservatives appointed to our course in a more peaceful world. But that being said, during my presidential campaign, I made it clear that there were profound differences between me and President Trump on a range of issues, and not just our difference on my constitutional duties that I exercised on January the 6th. I mean, as I have watched his candidacy unfold, I've seen him walking away from our commitment to confronting the national debt. I've seen him starting to shy away from a commitment to the sanctity of human life. And this last week is his reversal on getting tough on China and supporting our administration's effort to force a sale of ByteDance TikTok.
Why do you think he did that? Why do you think he had that reversal on that before we go, sir?
Well, I can't speculate on it, but what I can tell you is that in each of these cases, Donald Trump is pursuing and articulating an agenda that is at odds with the conservative agenda that we governed on during our 4 years. And that's why I cannot in good conscience endorse Donald Trump in this campaign. But let me say one last thing. That being said, look, Republican primary voters have made it clear, Martha, who they're for in this election. What I'm going to spend the rest of this year on is talking about what we should be.
Ooh, what a fascinating turn of events. All right, where do I start? Let's start with what Mike Pence actually said. He said, I cannot endorse Trump. He didn't say he wasn't voting for him. He said, I can't endorse him. Endorsing somebody and voting for them are two different things. Like, I will not endorse Kamala Harris, right? I'm not endorsing her. I'm not telling y'all should vote for her. Doesn't mean that I might make a choice to vote for her in the election, right? I likely will vote for Kamala Harris. I plan to vote for Kamala Harris based on the political logics that we've talked about a million times in here. You can agree, you can disagree, but I can't endorse, right? But then I'm not voting. So let's be clear. Donald Trump may not get Mike Pence's endorsement, but he'll probably get his vote. Now you may say that's a distinction without a difference, or that's confusing to the public. Could be. But I think it's clear based on the fact that he's saying we need to hold to conservative principles. We need to be tougher. We need to shut down women's reproductive rights even more. We need to have unequal trade relations more. We need to give more tax breaks to the wealthy. We need to do all this stuff to just keep moving further and further to the right. Trump ain't it. Okay, Mike Pence, I say to you, if choosing the best candidate is your priority, and the best is the person furthest to the right, Donald Trump is certainly to the right of Kamala Harris. Y'all keep painting her as a communist radical. Y'all think you're electing Che Guevara. If that's the case, then why wouldn't you be voting for Donald Trump, even despite the fact that you don't agree with some of his leftward moves, ostensibly? Well, that gets us to the next point, right? He's mad. He's mad. Look, I ain't mad at you for being mad, Mike Pence. Donald Trump tried to kill you. Look, if motherfucker tried to kill me, I wouldn't endorse him for president either. So I'm not mad at you, Mike Pence, but let's be honest. Donald Trump is no more to the left. He's no further away from conservative values than he was 4 years ago. You just don't like him anymore. You notice Martha McCallum, who's the host on Fox News, she wouldn't let Mike really break down all those points. She was like, before we go, sir, as a host, when you tell somebody before we go, that means wrap it up, B. We're done. And she was, who makes the vice president wrap it up, B? Nobody. But he was going against the party line, which is Trump no matter what. But Mike Pence doesn't feel that way anymore. Why doesn't he feel that way anymore? Well, because of what happened on January 6th. Again, you send a gang of crazy white people to kill me, I'm not endorsing you either. You stop me from being vice president, you basically fire me, I'm not endorsing you either. So in both cases, I get it. The other piece of this is, Mike Pence is saying the quiet part out loud for conservatives, and that is Donald Trump ain't never been conservative. Donald Trump, not for one day has Donald Trump been a true conservative in terms of his values, in terms of his political positions, or in terms of his own personal actions. Donald Trump does not embody these principles. You know, whether it's his married life, whether it's his personal life, whether it's the laws he's broken, or whether it's even his ideological positions. Even Mike Pence is saying right now he's moving further away from respecting the sanctity of life. Donald Trump, anyway, let me not get, I'm about to go too far. I wasn't about to say nothing untrue, but I don't want to get these jokes going. Here's the point. Mike Pence reflects in many ways the conservative power structure. They vote for and they support whoever and whatever makes their lives better. It's not about principle. It's not about values. It's not about consistency. It's not about character. Mike Pence was for Donald Trump before he was against Donald Trump, but he can't go out there and say, well, I'm boxed out, so I can't support this anymore, or he tried to murder me, so I can't do this anymore. So he picks particular policy issues, whether it's China or this vague and abstract and nebulous drifting that Trump has apparently done on the sanctity of life, and uses that as a pretext for doing what he wants to do, which is to walk away from Trump because it's bad for business. Next thing you're going to see, if Trump loses to Kamala Harris, and there's a chance Trump will lose to Kamala Harris, a good chance Trump will lose to Kamala Harris. If you were to ask me right now, gun to my head, who's going to win, I'd say Kamala Harris. There's a very good chance, given that the entire Republican Party is going to walk away from Donald Trump under the premise that he's moved to the left. But please understand, finally, Donald Trump is going to move to the left or the center or the right or whatever position he has to survive. Donald Trump is a rat. And rats do whatever they have to do to survive. He, I promise you, will do and say whatever is necessary to keep another political life going. Except he's running out of time. Win, lose, or draw, he's running out of time. But I think Trump loses as of now. It's a long 64 days. I think he loses. Then I think his political career is over. Now, Mike Pence, I don't want you to get no ideas, Mike. Nobody wants you to be president next. You are not on deck. You do not got next. It's over for you too, sir. Anyway, let's move on to another story, because I want to talk about something that has been getting the goat of the progressives for, excuse me, not the progressives. You know what? I'm going to take a quick break because I was about to say something stupid. Take a quick break. We're going to come back. We're going to talk Kamala Harris. Two issues, one serious and one ridiculous, but both of them are at the front of the news story. We'll see you back in 42 seconds. Welcome back to Night School. Before we move on to the next story, I want to shout out the people who make this thing happen, man. There are members who not only are members, but they bring on more members. Shout out to Robin Walker Murphy, who gifted 10 channel memberships today. I love you. I appreciate you. My family, Kime Aboyade Acosta, gifted 5 memberships. Shout out to you, my fam. James Harvey, you the man in these Instagram or YouTube streets. 5 memberships. I appreciate you. Thank you so much, y'all. These gifts, first of all, snatch them up. Hopefully the weirdos don't snatch up the gifted memberships, man. I hate when the weirdos get the gifted memberships. You know why? Because then they jump on here. When we do private events, when we do the private videos, they come and they troll and they heckle. But look, haters going to hate. I ain't mad at it too much, but yo, it's not a good thing. Shout out to Kimmy Obayade Costa again for paying that tuition. Pass it forward. Love you. Appreciate you, y'all. Roseability said, let's take a minute to recognize Mark's t-shirt. You know, Roseability, I always liked you. You understand. You see, some of y'all are too young to even get the reference. But Lion O. Richie, oh, come on, y'all. Respect the game. This is kind of dope. This one I gotta say. And if you're old enough to get it, it's even better. But we'll talk about that another time. And Kime will be out there close to with another super chat or super stick. I don't know what these are called, but thank you. It says an arms embargo, this issue will be over. He wrote that when I was specifically talking about how Joe Biden could stop what's going on in Gaza. It's really that simple. It's literally that simple. So we will do that. And thank you, Boaz. Y'all understand. Let's talk about Kamala Harris for a minute, man. I was watching the social media streets today, and it was so fascinating. It's so fascinating. There's a new controversy every day, and it's all centered around the question or the challenge of Kamala Harris's authenticity. And today, for the last couple of days, conservatives have been losing their mind over Kamala Harris's alleged accent switches. They're trying to imply that Kamala Harris is putting on a fake Black accent when she talks. They are using their energy not to solve social problems, not to fix our economic infrastructure. They're not trying to repair the social fabric of our nation. They're not trying to shrink the gap between the have-gots and the have-nots. No, they're trying to do investigations about Kamala Harris's Black accent. And they really think they be on to something, right? And I'm using Black accent in air quotes. I'm not saying she has a Black accent. Kamala Harris is just a Black person who's talking. But for some reason, they want to act like it's something unique going on. And so when you look in social media, what they've done is they cull the social media files and they find clips. I mean, somebody's literally sitting in their house finding clips of Kamala Harris to prove that she's faking her Blackness. We're going to break this thing down. I want y'all to check this out. So look at this one right here from Alex Brusewitz. You know, blue checks used to mean something. They don't anymore. He said, oh my God, listen to how Kamala Harris says 64 days in Detroit and how she says it in Pittsburgh just a couple hours apart. The accent change is insane. Watch this smoking gun. Listen to this.
Let's just get through the next 64 days. How about
Play it for you twice.
Let's just get through the next 64 days. How about
One more.
Let's just get through the next 64 days. How about
So that's oh my gosh, she said 64 days. Now let's watch her a little bit later in Pittsburgh.
So friends, 64 days until the most election of our lives. So friends, 64 days until, so friends, 64 days until the most election.
What's interesting is what they should have been mad at is she got to say the word important. She said the most election, but that's the first smoking gun, right? And they were like, "Oh my God, we got her, guys! Oh my God, we got her, guys! I mean, oh my God, she said, oh God, she said 64. Then she said 64. But that's not what really got them going. It was after Labor Day when she started talking about unions. Again, the real conversation should be about unions and labor and the casualization of labor and the exportation of labor and the transfer of labor overseas in ways that not only exploit the global South, but undermine the communities here. We should be talking about the gross gap between CEO pay and everyday workers. We should be talking about the lack of a living wage. We should be talking about equity. We should be talking about safe workers, working conditions. We should be talking about workers' rights. We should be talking about environmentally friendly policies. We should be talking about diversity. We could be talking about every part of labor, but instead on Labor Day, we are focused on how this Black woman talks. And so it starts with, again, here's somebody, some nitwit on Twitter. I don't even know this brother. He's just an example. Look at him. No, you know he's a fool. You know what I mean? No disrespect. No, I do mean disrespect. Look at him. The conservative. You know, there's always that Black dude with a bow tie who thinks he's smarter than everybody else because he's wearing a bow tie and discovered Republicans, right? Anyway, so he writes, I mean, God, he looks like he wants to be alone. He said, Kamala Harris gave a masterclass in pandering when she was caught, hear the language, caught changing her accent for Black audiences, delivering the exact same line with a Southern Black accent in Detroit and then switching back to her regular accent just a few hours later in Pittsburgh. So there's also this Southern Black accent. Like he put a pin in that Southern Black accent. We're gonna come back to that in a minute. All right. Here's her, and this is their clip, not mine. Here's her in
Union member for the 5-day work week. You better thank a union member for sick leave. You better thank a union member for paid leave. You better thank a union member for vacation time.
5 hours later.
Thank unions for sick leave. Thank unions for paid family leave. Thank unions for your vacation time.
You gotta pay.
So that's the conservative take. I guess I have to say courtesy of them. Thank you for that garbage shit you gave us. So it's an interesting thing. And I'm going to go a step further because the conservatives were losing their minds about this. Oh my God. Not just to certain white people in general. Oh my God. We caught her, guys. We got her. That's a smoking gun. Donald Trump's caught on tape saying he's going to grab women by the vagina, right? Ronald Reagan at Iran-Contra. But somehow the smoking gun here is Kamala Harris talking to black people different than she talks to white people. Oh my God, she's caught. And it got so bad. Just so you know, I'm not exaggerating here, or you think that I am just overstating or overestimating what social media is doing. This got all the way to the mecca of conservative media. Fox News ends up having a conversation about this because Steve Ducey, I don't know if y'all know, Peter Ducey. These people, by the way, hate privilege. They hate access that's unmerited. They hate what do you call them? Giveaways and hand-me-downs and handouts. But this person who's about to talk to the White House press secretary is Peter Ducey, the son of Steve Ducey, who's a longtime Fox News host of Fox and Friends. And now his son is there completely by merit, of course, completely by merit. Listen to what Ducey asked her.
A different topic. Since when does the vice president have what sounds like a Southern accent?
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Well,
I mean, this is.
She was talking about unions in Detroit using one tone of voice.
Is this something that
same
you think?
line?
Okay, Peter.
That she used the same line in Pittsburgh, and it sounded like she at least had some kind of a Southern drawl.
I mean, do you hear the question that? Do you think Americans seriously think that this is an important?
So, if you are So a few things here. One, Karen Jean-Pierre basically said this is a dumbass question. Americans don't care about it. I would have done something different, but that's why she's the White House press secretary and I'm not. I would have dragged him on this, like explained to him how profoundly racist the question was and ridiculous the question was. But she simply said, look, Americans don't care about this. And that's cool. That might be enough. That might be enough. I don't know where that came from. Someone put that up there. I didn't put that up there, Rolando. Shame on you, Rolando. Don't say that about Ducey. Anyway, let's talk about this. So, first of all, you notice they all keep saying Southern accent. There was nothing Southern about what she was saying. I'm going to take a step back. Right? All of this is a form of attacking, again, the authenticity of Kamala Harris. The campaign insiders for Donald Trump have effectively said, we can't get America to like Donald Trump more. If you like him, you like him. If you don't, you really don't. And people who don't like him aren't going to be converted. The only way we can win this election at this point is to get people to like Kamala Harris less. And so they're sending out the attack dogs, the racial attack dogs, the gender attack dogs, not even policy attack dogs. I mean, again, like there's plenty of reasons to be critical of Kamala Harris. This is just a dumb one. If you criticize criticizing her on Gaza? Sure. You criticizing her on labor? Fine. What's your critique? You criticizing her on criminal justice? Fine. Break it down for us. But her accent, first of all, it's not an accent. There's a long history of what we call code switching. Code switching has now become almost pejorative, but code switching speaks to the way that Black people within various social contexts literally use different linguistic registers. We literally invoke different linguistic codes. We speak African American vernacular English in some form or fashion, or we speak the King's English to the Queen's taste. We speak formal English. African American vernacular English is not uniform or universal. It shifts from region to region, but the studies have shown that African American vernacular English has a relative thoroughness and consistency across time and space, meaning that if I'm in the South, if I'm in the North, there are certain things that are part and parcel with being a speaker of AAVE, African American vernacular English. For example, something known as the zero copula, also known as the habitual B. In other words, I go to the store all the time. Boaz Kim Music eats chicken every day. All right. Or, I be going to the store. Boaz be eating chicken every day. Right? The habitual B, I go, I be going. The habitual B, known as the zero copula. That is a function of African American speech. When I am on air at Al Jazeera, I will never say, I'll be hosting every day. I'll be hosting every week. Make sure you come back. We'll see you next week. Or I'll see y'all next week. But I might say that on my YouTube show. Why? Because I'm speaking to different audiences. But the idea that it's something inauthentic, then they say the Southern drawl. They use the same thing against Hillary Clinton. Now, with Hillary Clinton, again, you got to ask yourself, how much of it is fake? How much of it is real? They're from Arkansas. Again, I am not a Clinton fan. Hillary Clinton is as fraudulent as a $3 bill. Hillary Clinton lies like she breathes. Hillary Clinton is not my person, but she is from the South. And yes, and if you watch old Hillary Clinton videos from 30 years ago, or even when she first entered the White House, they had thick Southern accents. And over time, you begin to put on different accents, or you speak differently when you're around different people. But Kamala Harris ain't from the South. She's from the Bay. She's from California. Now, if you understand California and the California linguistic register, you understand that people in California, many Black people, they come from the South and migrated. Right after during the Great Migration. That's why they talk about the Calabama accent. Listen to Snoop Dogg. When Snoop Dogg is rapping, you hear something Southern in it. Why? When you listen to Too Short, I go on and on. Right? There's a Southern thing underneath that. Right? But beyond that, what you heard in Kamala Harris was a repetition of phrases. What you heard was a dragging of sentences. What you heard was what we call Black homiletics. It's a classroom. Let's break this shit down, right? This is an effect of the Black homiletical tradition. Homiletics is what? The art of preaching. The art of preaching. She was talking like a preacher. That's what Hillary Clinton was trying to do in that Southern church in Selma. She did a bad job. Hillary sounds crazy. I ain't in no ways tired. Don't shut up, Hillary. But Kamala Harris is a Black person doing that. So we have to understand that Black people speak differently to different people. We've done it for social reasons. We've done it for security reasons. Sometimes you can't talk to everybody the same way. But there's a fascinating thing that white people do, and that is to presume that their mode of speech is the real one and everybody else's is the fake one. In other words, when Hillary Clinton is speaking with a Southern accent, why do y'all assume that's the fake one? And then somehow the North New England accent is the real one. Maybe maybe that's the fake one. This used to happen to me when I was coming up. You talk like a white boy this day, now you're talking like a black person. Why do you think the white accent is the real one? I grew up in a black household, in a black neighborhood, in the blackest hood in one of the blackest cities in America. Why do you think that the way that I'm talking on TV is the real me, and the way I'm talking at home is the fake one? But that is the arrogance of whiteness. This idea that ours is real and so coveted that you hold on to it and make it yours, and the shit that actually is yours now becomes foreign. No. So this idea that we caught her pretending to speak black, and then we got the real her later. Why do you think that's the real her? The girl went to Howard. You think at Howard University she was saying 64? You think at Howard University she was saying, you better thank unions? You think when she was online for AKA, Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated, you think she wasn't out there spitting like everybody else? You think when she was lined up in that yard, marching the yard, she wasn't speaking a habitual B and a zero copula and dropping them R's? And it wasn't Southern Steve Doocy. They say it's Southern because they can't say nigger. They say Southern with a hard ER. Please understand that these people are crazy. Again, there's a million things you could criticize Kamala Harris for. There's a million things you could criticize any candidate for, but we are majoring in the minor. And when you major in the minor, when you focus on these little superficial and ultimately stupid things about Kamala Harris, you cheapen the argument. You make it harder to actually have a legitimate, sophisticated left-wing argument. And you make yourself look really dumb. So knock it off. Anyway, we're going to take one more break, and when we come back, we're going to come back with one more piece, again, on Vice President Harris. We're going to talk about the question of Kamala Harris and reparations. Is she down? Is she still down? That's a big hip-hop reference. Some of y'all get it. I'll see y'all in a minute. Welcome back to Night School. I love y'all, man. You know I love talking to y'all because we get to talk about so many things, from foreign policy to domestic policy, from Middle Eastern history to Black linguistics. And honestly, it's the joy of being in community that allows us to do that. So I just want to thank y'all for indulging my ridiculousness sometimes. Jeffaholics writes in and says, one of the great joys of my life has been trying to explain to people that other dialect of English are rule governed and are not bad English. That is so true. Sometimes people think that Black people don't have rituals and codes and order in those rituals and codes. And it's just not true. If you think Black English ain't got, or doesn't, if you believe that Black English doesn't have rules and form, try listening to somebody pretend to speak it that doesn't really speak it. And you will see very quickly that they don't know what they're talking about. Robin Walker Murphy said, let me pay for this extra linguistics lessons. Shout out to you. Appreciate you. Jazz LP, Dallas's finest, said, for Hillary, shut up. May Gay 62 said, not having any control over who receives them. I'm not feeling so generous with the memberships tonight, but tuition is still due. Love you, appreciate you. Look, it's all love. However y'all do it, wherever y'all do it, we grateful for it. Jason Wakeman said, bro, nah, anyone in the South heard people trying to fake it, and it's obvious and patronizing. Be yourself, and respect is free. I agree. You do not need to fake a Southern accent. I just don't think Kamala Harris was faking a Southern accent. I think she was just talking to Black people the way Black people talk. I mean, I can tell you just for myself, I don't really think that hard about it. When I'm in a room of people who are Black, I'm gonna speak a different way than I'm in a room full of people who are white. And my most authentic and comfortable self comes out in the space that it needs to. But when I'm in Alabama, I don't start talking like I'm from Alabama. No Southern accent, but definitely blacker and definitely more churched. And that's often how it happens. Jason Wakeman said, "Go in," or does she sound like an old Midwestern farmer every time she tries weird accents? Wow, y'all going in. Y'all going in today, man. Look, I no comment. So I appreciate y'all, man. I love y'all. But let's talk about one more thing before we go. Reparations. Last night on the show, we were talking about reparations as well. For the last few weeks, the question of Kamala Harris and reparations has come up. People have asked quite legitimately, what is the vice president's position on reparations? Will she advance the reparations cause? We see a defeated bill in California right now damper some spirits, but inspire others to keep struggling more and to recognize how urgent, how ripe this moment is to struggle for reparations. And during this time, a clip has reemerged. This clip is not recent. I know a lot of people on the internet are pretending that it's recent, but this is actually from 4 years ago when Kamala Harris was running for president in the Democratic primary in 2000. And she appeared at the National Action Network, and Reverend Al Sharpton asked her a question about reparations. Here's what she said.
Reparations for descendants of Africans enslaved. If you elected president, would you sign that bill if it came across your desk?
When I am elected president, I will sign that bill.
So that bill, that question, that topic, that issue have all been challenged in the last few days. People are saying, is she lying? Is she being honest? What is Kamala Harris's real position on reparations? Well, I'm going to tell you Kamala Harris's real position on reparations. Kamala Harris supports the idea of reparations in the abstract. That's the first thing, right? Kamala Harris genuinely believes that Black people deserve reparations. She said something in 5 years ago in the Root in 2019. And she said, I think there has to be some form of reparations, and we can discuss what that is. We're looking at more than 200 years of slavery. We're looking at almost 100 years of Jim Crow. We're looking at legalized segregation. And in fact, segregation on so many levels that exist today based on race. And there has not been any kind of intervention. That is Kamala Harris in 2019. She also gave a similar interview to The Root. She also spoke right there. Kamala Harris has been unambiguous in the position that she believes that reparations are appropriate, okay, and even necessary. So let's start there. That is her real position on reparations. The next question, though, is what do reparations look like, right? Because she said, and we can talk about what that is, because here's where the rubber meets the road. Here's where the devil is in the details. Kamala Harris has also been on record saying that I'm not going to do something just for Black people. And some people took that to mean she does not support reparations. I don't think that's a fair analysis. I think what's more accurate is to say that Kamala Harris absolutely supports reparations, but she, like Bernie Sanders, like Elizabeth Warren, and like many others who identify as progressive Democrats, believe that reparations should happen through various forms of structural investment. In other words, they believe that if you invest in schools, or you invest in urban renewal, or you invest in infrastructure, or you invest in clean jobs, that these things will bring the bottom rung of the economic and social ladder up. And who's at the bottom? Us. Who's overrepresented among the poor? Us. Who's overrepresented among the urban displaced and the urban mired in precarity? Us. So in that context, it becomes a form of reparations because the people who have been systematically marginalized and dispossessed because of the institutions of white supremacy and the institutions of capitalism that were birthed on the backs of enslaved Africans in America. Because of all of that, investing in the most vulnerable is to invest in the descendants of slavery, which is to give a form of reparations. That would be her argument. Let me be clear, because some of y'all have smoke coming out of your ears right now. I don't agree. I agree with everything that I just said, in the sense that it should all happen. We should invest in all those spaces and places. But I also believe that we should give Black people who are the descendants of American slavery cash payments. No ifs, ands, or buts. We deserve a check. We also deserve to have free college. We also deserve to have economic investments and enhancements and incentives across the board. I'm not saying that we can't do those things, but it's both and, not either or. Don't tell me that you're investing in urban blight as my reparations. Because white people and middle-class people and multinational corporations, hell, the whole system of American capitalism is based on the extracted labor of enslaved Africans. So no, give us our money. Run me my coins. That is a fact. But that brings me to the next question. Because some of y'all are going to say, well, that's not what Sharpton asked her. Sharpton said, reparations for the descendants of, he said, African slaves. Okay. She said, yeah, if that bill crosses my desk, I will sign it. Some of y'all get excited from that. Some of you say, well, she said she'll sign a reparations bill for American descendants of slavery. Yeah, she said, if the bill crosses my desk. What needs to happen for the bill to cross her desk? That's the part y'all got to pay attention to and listen to. Did she say, I'm going to be whipping up votes? Did she say, I'm going to organize Congress to give us reparations? No. She said, if the bill crosses my desk, what are the odds of the bill getting out of the House and the Senate? What are the odds of the bill even being proposed in the House and the Senate? H.R. 40, a bill about creating a board and a study of the possibility of reparations, is controversial in this country. You telling me we're going to get a bill for reparations passed and all? Yes, if a bill for reparations gets on her desk, she will sign it. That means nothing. That means if my 2-year-old becomes a 5-year-old and says, hey, could I have a pony? And I say, well, no, you can't have a pony. And he says, well, what if I save up enough money? What if I save up $1 million and I buy my own mansion and my own stable and my own pony? Can I then have a pony? And I say, yes, if you do all those things, you can have a pony. Yes, that's all true. So technically I can say I approve the pony. Why? Because I've set a set of conditions that are so unlikely and unreasonable that I don't have to worry about them happening. And if they do, well, shit, if my 5-year-old can come up with $1 million, I should give him a pony. Excuse my almost language there. Similarly, yeah, if the House and the Senate suddenly decide, the House and the Senate can't decide on immigration. They can decide on war. They can't decide on fracking. They can't decide on offshore drilling. They can't decide on education reform. You think they're going to give people reparations? So yeah, that's an easy answer. Yes, if it gets to my desk, I'll sign it. Sure. That is not a courageous position. It's not an uncourageous position. I'm not criticizing Kamala Harris for that. I'm saying it's just not a difficult thing to say yes to. It doesn't actually mean anything. The question is, what political capital are you willing to expend to get the bill to your desk? What are you willing to risk to force that bill to your desk? We got to understand how the legislative process works. That's not her branch. That's not her job. So she's almost the wrong person to ask that question to. A better question would be, what are you willing to do to get us reparations? What does your vision of reparations look like? And how do we get there? So unless you say these things, you're not really getting to Kamala Harris's reparations vision beyond what she's already said. So her reparations position is as strong as any other Democratic candidate. You just have to ask yourself, is that strong enough? Y'all decide for yourselves. All right. I want to thank y'all for watching Night School again, man. I had a good time tonight. I wasn't sure I was going to, man. Things started off a little rough, but we had a good show. We had a good time. Make sure you hit that like button, family. Make sure you hit that like button so that the YouTube algorithms know that what we do here is just as important to you as the corporate media outlets. We have to fight the good fight. Also, hit the subscribe button. Everybody watching right now, hit the subscribe button. And if you're on Twitter, come over to YouTube right now and hit that subscribe button. It makes our footprint bigger, which then allows us to get the content out to more people. And then I'm going to ask you, my family, to hit that join button. If you haven't become a member of the channel, please become a member of the channel. It gives us the financial stability that we need to put out the content that we do every single day. I see a lot of people here. I'm gonna take a quick second and say, they said, does anyone know if Jill Stein has ever talked about reparations? Yes, Jill Stein has talked about reparations. Yes, the Green Party supports reparations for the descendants of American slavery. We've talked about it for decades. You cannot vote for Jill Stein. You cannot like Jill Stein, but it's simply dishonest to suggest. I'm not saying you're saying this, Renee, but it's dishonest to suggest that Jill Stein has never spoken about reparations. She's done so in very clear and unambiguous fashion. Anyway, family, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, hit that join button. We really need your support to do the work that we do every single day. And some of you are going to say, well, I can't make a monthly commitment. I would ask you then to make a one-time commitment for the month. Think about it as the tuition for night school. Again, we're here every Monday to Friday at 9 p.m. We do office hours on Sunday night. We're going to have Rabbi Shapiro back next week talking about the origins of Zionism. It's pretty deep. I think y'all going to want more of it. Coffee and Books 9 a.m. on Saturdays, and the Classroom to Sell returns this Sunday at 9 a.m. I apologize that we missed an episode or two. It's not Mamia's fault. We have the episodes. I just got to get them up. He called me tonight. We're working with somebody who's living in the dungeons of Pennsylvania State Prison, so we don't get all the production smoothness that we otherwise would. But either way, we getting the episodes out of everything. Think about making a contribution right now. If you give $1, we're grateful. Everybody here gave $1 million. We'd be really grateful. But anything in the middle is also incredibly beloved, appreciated, valued. We love all of you, and we greatly appreciate your support. But I will say that if everybody watching right now were to donate $10, everybody watching right now could give at least $10, Cash App, PayPal, Venmo, or Zelle. Everybody watching can give at least $10. We can meet all of our production goals, all of our financial demands. We could pay everybody, or we could build the new studio or pay toward building the new studio. We could get all of our content up. We could do everything for the month. We could meet all of our financial goals to grow this channel into something even more special. If everybody watching were to give $10, I know people always ask for money on these platforms, and it's not always clear where the money goes. First of all, we don't have a corporate check behind us. We don't have a billionaire funding us. Everything happens on the muscle. Everything happens simply from the power of the people. So please understand, when we ask you to make a donation, it's to help fund everything. Right now, we need to make payroll. Some days y'all say, it looks so pretty out there with the B-roll and the images and the stills and all the stuff. The visuals that you see on the show come with licensing fees. Those licensing fees get paid when we have the resources to do so. That way you don't have to look at my ugly mug the whole time. I have a staff of people, a writer, a producer, a booker, people. The Rabbi Shapiros of the world, I didn't find Rabbi Shapiro, my booker did, but to pay a booker, we need those resources. All of this comes from your donations. I'm just trying to give you a context for where the money goes. Again, I'm not up here pocketing this money. I'm here using this to build a platform. So please, please, please do whatever you can. Again, If you can give $1, we're grateful. If you can give $1 million, we're really grateful. But anything in the middle is incredibly valued. But once more, if everybody watching were to do $10 right now, if everybody watching were to do $10 right now, we would meet all of our financial goals for the month. If you only got 9, that's fine. If you only got 5, that's fine. If you only got $1, that's fine. Again, no amount is too low, but we really are just trying to set a financial goal so that we can meet it and build this channel forward. Anyway, family, I want to thank you once again for watching. Keep hitting the like button, keep hitting the subscribe button. Also, family, keep sharing the content. Sharing the content is the key to growing the channel, but most of all, keep studying the content, because studying is what night school is all about. I'll see you tomorrow night.